Welcome to Fantasy Football Court. We are four regular guys talking all things fantasy football. Unlike some other shows, we only talk about fantasy football. We make our arguments, we present our cases, and you are the judge. We are all in the same fantasy football league. The people are real, the league is real, and the trash talking is real. Court is now in session. Welcome to another edition of Fantasy Football Court. My name is Charles.
My name is Andrew.
My name is Nick.
This is Jeremy.
Today we're going to put the Minnesota Vikings on the stand. We're going to question them and examine all things Minnesota Vikings. Before we do, we're going to get started with an overall opinion of the Vikings. Jeremy, I'll start with you. What do you think of the Minnesota Vikings?
Average, I guess, would be a word that I would use to sum up them. I see some potential, but I don't see anything that just strikes me as that get my juices flowing and gets me really excited about this team.
Not like the Cowboys cheer?
No, I'm married. I'm leaving that one alone.
Nick, what do you think about the Vikings?
Yeah, there's nothing to really get excited about with the Vikings. Maybe potential with rookie running back with Dalvin Cook, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Dalvin Cook maybe this year. Andy, any thoughts?
I agree with Jeremy down there. It seems like when it comes to fantasy options, it's kind of average and it's going to be a lot up in the air.
All right, first position we're going to look at is the quarterback position. And, that's the most important player in any team because they make the decisions, they make the right reads, make the right throws, and however a quarterback goes is generally how the team goes. So, Nick, what do you think about the quarterback situation?
Sam Bradford's their quarterback. They seem like they tried to improve their offensive line a little bit with bringing in Mike Remmers and Rela, and we'll see if that helps him. But biggest thing, he was able to stay healthy all of last year, so that was a big plus for him.
Yeah.
So, but still, I don't see him as a viable fantasy option. I don't know, it might change at some point during the season. I mean, but right now I don't see him as a good fantasy option. I don't draft him.
You don't draft Sam Bradford.
Really excited to see how Brett Favre does this year with the Vikings.
We told him to say that. He is not that illiterate.
But no, with Sam Bradford, we know what we're going to get. He's what I consider a proven commodity. He's proven that he's average.
Yeah.
If injuries hit the quarterback position this year real hard and you have a bye week, he may be a starter that you could do because he did have a great. I don't think he's a guy that's going to hurt you necessarily. Last year, 20 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. That's as good of a touchdown to interception ratio as you would want.
Yeah.
So I think that he's going to. But he only had 2 games over 300 yards. So you're going to get a serviceable guy, but not somebody that you would want to depend on unless you absolutely had no other choice.
So you really don't want to go into the season with him as your starting quarterback?
I don't even want him as my backup. He's a spot starter in case of injuries.
There you go. Any thoughts on quarterback?
No, Sam, I agree with what they're saying. He is in a free agent year this year, so he's going to come out with something to prove. And also, if Teddy Bridgewater comes back from injury, you don't even know if he's going to be starting all year. But also, it might take some pressure off him with the running backs they have. Might open up that quarterback game a little bit there. But as far as fantasy options, I'm not interested in Bradford or Teddy Bridgewater.
I think we all agree that he is somebody you can pick up maybe on a bye week or somebody where you need a fill-in, but you wouldn't want to depend on him for your whole season.
But I will say this, with the upgrades they've made at running back,
Offensive line.
a little bit of offensive line, they do have some playmakers at wide receiver. If Teddy Bridgewater gets healthy and gets plugged in, I would kind of be excited to see, because he has shown the ability in years past to have some good games and be dynamic. Now, healthy is a big, big if.
Right. The way they talk, they don't see him playing this year. If it is, it's probably like week 15, week 16, something like that.
All right, let's move on to the next position, that being the running back. Jeremy, I'm going to start first with you on this. What do you think about the Minnesota's backfield?
You have Latavius Murray came over from the Raiders. Was a solid running back with the Raiders.
He was their starting running back. He carried the ball.
Quality stuff. for him. But now the red flags with him was only he only had 4 games in his first 30 that he's played where he's had over 100 yards rushing. That should be a little bit of a red flag because the Raiders are not a bad team.
Right.
But he did average 4 yards a carry. That's kind of lower end on the league. That's not horrible, but that's not great. With Murray, I think that he'll probably be the starter to start the season. But I think that he's going to surrender a lot to Dalvin Cook. But both of them, as we've said multiple times, though, over the course of these podcasts, it's going to boil down to how good their offensive line is.
Yeah.
Last year, they had the worst rushing attack in the league.
Yeah.
And if their offensive line gets better, I don't care if you put Ezekiel Elliott with Leonard Fournette backing him up back there, if they would get good yards. It all boils down to how good that offensive line is. I do think they have the talent, though, with Murray and Dalvin Cook, if that offensive line is good. I would probably take Dalvin Cook before Latavius Murray, just simply because I think there's greater upside there.
Yeah.
But, both are draftable options. I don't want them as my primary starters.
Yeah. That's the same way here with about the offensive line. If they prove their offensive line, the running backs have potential. Latavius Murray last year had 12 touchdowns in Oakland, and he missed 3 or 4 games for injury. So he could have had more. So he was a good option there in Oakland, but you got to think Oakland's offensive line was a lot better than what he's going to see here in Minnesota. But in Oakland they handed the ball to him a lot at the goal line, and he had a knack for getting in the end zone. So, but the way it's been looking, the way they've been talking in camp, even Latavius Murray came out and said that he said Dalvin Cook's a whole lot ahead of him. Just he's grasping the offense a lot better than he is. So the way it seems, Dalvin Cook's going to be your day 1 starter.
Yeah, I think so.
But I think you're going to see Latavius Murray get a lot of goal line carries, and that's going to take away from Dalvin Cook's touchdowns, and that's going to be the biggest thing. But that's where you kind of how high do you take Dalvin Cook? Do you take Latavius Murray just off the touchdown production that he might have? They're still both draftable running backs, though.
Thoughts on the running backs?
My initial thoughts of the running backs is committee. I think they're going to be running committee a lot, especially until they figure out who's going to be who and what role they're going to take on in that offense. But McKinnon, they're even talking him and Dalvin Cook splitting first team reps. And then whenever Murray comes back, Murray's injured right now. He's still trying to come back from it. So if he does make it back before the start of the season or towards the beginning, we're going to see 3 running backs getting an opportunity. And so because of that, that kind of scares me when it comes to fantasy options.
Well, they drafted Dalvin Cook pretty high.
They did.
And I believe that's going to be their future. I mean, Jerick McKinnon's been there. Latavius Murray's been in the league. But Dalvin Cook is the hot new face, and I really believe they're going to give him the opportunity. And whatever he does with it,
right,
we're going to find out. But
in PPR leagues now, McKinnon will get some looks on the passing game.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to be enough to.
Not in this crowd.
It's not a needle mover.
Yeah. All right, let's move to the next position. And by the way, just let me say this. We are going to get into the ranking of the positions and different things. We're even going to do a mock first-round draft and maybe a second-round draft, but that'll be in future episodes. So when we talk about these individual teams, we're just talking about this team right now. And if you watch our other videos, you see what we're talking about. The next position we're going to talk about is the wide receivers. We'll start with Nick on this. What do you think of the Minnesota Vikings wide receivers?
So Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen are going to be their receivers. You also have Michael Floyd there, but he's suspended for the first 4 games for substance abuse. So
there's another one.
Yeah, so he was probably maybe a late round flyer that you took beforehand, but now you pretty much just toss him to the side and don't worry about him. But Diggs could, I mean, if they can protect Bradford can get the ball, Diggs has potential to be a great fantasy option. So he's got a lot of potential, but he's got to get the quarterback play. The quarterback's got to have the offensive line protect him. So if they can get him the ball steady, I mean, he could be a really good fantasy option. And Adam Thielen, he had a big game last year. I think he had like 40 fantasy points in PPR league or something like that at the end of the year. So
But he didn't do it consistently all year long.
Yeah, that was toward the end of the season. I mean, and another thing is like Diggs. Diggs was hurt just about all last year. He was not 100%, and that's gonna be another thing. Diggs is 100% this year, and he could have potential to be a breakout this year. And Adam Thielen, I'm not buying consistency. He might be there enough to take a little bit of the pressure off of Stephon Diggs, but I don't see Adam Thielen as being a good fantasy option.
What do you think about, before I go to Jeremy, what do you think about Laquan Treadwell?
I
Just don't see him being much of a...
I don't see him being much of a factor. He might do a little bit this year, but he probably slide more the some like red zone. Maybe that's the only viable thing I could see him.
Jeremy?
I've always been a Laquan Treadwell fan.
I am too.
Going all the way back to his Ole Miss days. But now I am an underdog type player, and I never will forget the play that he got injured against Auburn, where he's about to score a touchdown and gets cow collared and blows his knee out and leg and all that. It was just horrible. So, being in that industry, anytime a player gets hurt like that, you automatically just feel for the kid. I do think last year he battled through an ankle injury a lot, so I do think that he'll have. He was on the field for 80 plays. I think he'll be on the field for a lot more than that this year. I do think there's potential. He would be maybe somebody I would look as a late round flyer. Adam Thielen I have as a wide receiver 2. Probably maybe a wide receiver 3. He's in that low end 2, high end 3 category. Stephon Diggs, I have him as a wide receiver 2.
Yeah.
But he does have the potential to become a wide receiver 1. Yeah. He has got that much talent. It boils down to, again, offensive line and quarterback. It's a team game. Yeah. Now, I do want to talk about Michael Floyd for a second, if I can have liberty.
Go ahead.
Michael Floyd has substance abuse issues, but it's not really been drugs, it's been alcohol. And listen to this. Floyd has been under house arrest for 3 months, and he randomly failed 5 breathalyzer tests in the month of June.
On house arrest?
On house arrest.
Michael, man.
Wow. So, if you got a chance, I haven't looked up Michael Floyd's salary, but he has a chance, if he's on the active roster, to make a few $1 million this year, but he can't put the bottle down long enough to get it.
Yeah, I never understood what the issue was, because he was cut by the Cardinals like mid-season last year, and like a week later the Patriots picked him up, but he never actually done anything for the Patriots. And I don't know.
He's been under house arrest for 3 months, but he failed a random breathalyzer test 5 times in mid-June.
If we get sued for defamation, Alexander Shinara, you reckon?
Probably.
Okay. All right. What are your thoughts on the wide receivers of the Minnesota Vikings? Anything?
Well, there's nothing really that stands out different than them, but when it comes to fantasy football and what I'm looking at, Diggs could have a good year.
Yeah.
I mean, him and Bradford
he definitely gets drafted
for their second year. Is he wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 on your team maybe?
I got him at 2 with 1 potential.
Yeah, and so that's about where I see him. So when it comes to fantasy football, I think he's somebody you look at.
I'd have no problem drafting him in rounds 5, 6.
Where he's going, I think in most ADPs round
Yeah,
5.
he could pay off for you. I mean, you're not really risking a lot.
He could be one that gets you that's really good.
Because more than likely, I would draft 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs in the first 4 rounds, and then round 5, if Diggs is there, I take him because he's a great third option.
I don't think he'll be available.
Third option.
I don't think he'll be available this year.
But
if he's there, I think it's a good value.
I think somebody's going to reach for him probably round 4.
Probably.
He's got a lot of potential.
All right, let's move on to the next position, that being the tight end. I'll start with Jeremy on this. What do you think about the Minnesota tight end?
Kyle Rudolph. He had career highs last year in catches and yards and targets.
He did good for me.
Yeah.
So, Sam Bradford, I think probably they established a little bit of repertoire this year, a little bit of rapport. And but it also speaks to the fact why Sam Bradford had the highest completion percentage that he's had, yet
checking down.
Didn't have that many yards, because I think Kyle Rudolph was a 6-8 yard check down. But the beautiful thing about that is this is we play in a PPR league. Most leagues I think ESPN said like 68, almost 70% of their leagues they do are PPR leagues.
Yeah.
So it's the most popular league. So Rudolph is a great option, in my opinion. I think he's just right outside of that upper tier
Yeah.
of tight ends that you've got the top 3 or 4 tight ends. I think Kyle Rudolph is right there in that second section, about tight end 5 to 8, 5 to 9.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think Kyle Rudolph could have a really big season this year. He has the potential to be really good. He had a really good last year. I think he was top. I want to say he was top 8 fantasy production last year. I can't tell exactly, but he had a really good last year, and I don't see no reason for him to dip down in production. I could see him doing better this year.
Yeah, I think he does better. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think he's right there in the top, easily top 10.
Oh, easily.
Easily
Yeah.
top 10. But look at this. He had 100. He was targeted 132 times.
Wow.
That was more than the top 10 guys that are going this year.
That's
As
a
far
lot.
as targets.
Yeah.
Now, with the new running back core that they're doing, some of the things they're doing, that might drop down a little bit, but they're throwing to him a lot.
I see the same thing. I think Diggs will probably get a little bit more targets this year just because he'll be healthier.
Right.
And maybe out on the field a little bit, but I don't see his really dipping that
You
much.
don't see it affecting the tight end.
Yeah, I don't see it affecting him that much.
All right, we're all in agreement on that. Let's move to the next position, and these two we won't cover very much. That being the kicker. Andy, any thoughts on the kicker?
On their kicker.
Kyle Forbath.
Forbath.
Yeah, I
Kyle
think
Forbath.
Blair Walsh went to Seattle.
7 games, he played in 7 games last year for him, made all 15 of his field goals, but he did miss 3 of his 14 extra points. The bonus about him is it is an indoor stadium, if I'm not mistaken still.
Yeah, but
I think it's some sort of adaptive version of an indoor
Are
stadium.
they playing in their new facility this year? Because they played at University of Minnesota last year, didn't they?
I think they're in their new
I
facility.
believe so. I don't really have much of an opinion on the kicker.
No thoughts.
No thoughts. I mean, we'll just move on from there. Our last position, that being the defense. Jeremy, what do you think about Minnesota's defense as fantasy goes?
Last year they struggled against the run, did great against the pass. I think there's potential there. They do have games against Minnesota. Minnesota has games against the Rams, the Ravens, and the Lions, which I think will always help your defense.
Yeah.
And this is a defense I wouldn't be afraid to draft. You just need to watch them how they do against the run. I think if you face a team that has got a really good running back, then you may look at going another direction. Pass-heavy teams, though, I feel fairly comfortable with them for the most
Yeah.
part.
Last year, they were the #1 fantasy scoring defense the whole entire year. I think week 16, week 17, or I think one of the last 2 weeks of the season, they dropped to number 2. I think Denver had passed them or something like that. But anyway, they were a great fantasy option last year. I had them on my team, and it was
They paid off for you.
They paid off big time. There was games
They
where
won a couple of games for you.
Yeah, they had 33 and 36 points out of my defense.
You can't always count on that. But
Yeah.
It's nice when you get it.
Yeah, you can't. But they were consistently, 15, 20 points, except for that one week where they let me down and played Chicago. I think it was the first week Cutler was back or something like that, and Cutler tore them up.
You don't hear that often.
Yeah, you don't hear that. So, that was a setback, but I still see them being a top 5 fantasy defense this year.
I don't pick defenses towards the end, so if they're there, when I go to pick, I'll look at them.
Top 5. I agree with Nick. So.
All right, well, that about covers it for the Minnesota Vikings. We'll just give a quick rundown before we close it out. I'll start with Andy. Just your overall opinions on the Minnesota Vikings, what we talked about.
Again, like I started off with the show, I think they're middle of the road. There could be a couple, Stephon Diggs, Kyle Rudolph, their defense. Those are the top 3 guys I take away from fantasy football for Minnesota.
I really want to see what Dalvin Cook does during the preseason. I see him as somebody that moves up the board the closer it gets to kickoff.
Yeah, if the offensive line can protect Sam Bradford and Sam Bradford stay healthy the whole year, Stephon Diggs, Kyle Rudolph, Dalvin Cook, they could have big years.
Stephon Diggs is the key, I think, that I want to watch. I think that Stephon Diggs could be the #1 fantasy player on Minnesota's team at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So I would watch him, watch how he's trending, watch injuries, how they're doing during preseason, and then kind of go from there. But don't be scared. I would say don't be scared. If you're going to reach for a player, don't be scared to reach for Stephon Diggs, because I think there's a lot of upside.
Yeah, I do too. All right, if you want to hit us up on social media,
Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all of the handles are at FFCourt.
If you have any questions, anything that you want to ask us, or you want to challenge us, want us to be in your league to see if we actually know what we're talking about, hit us up, and we'll be more than happy to answer questions, do a podcast about it, or whatever we need to do.
all right, court is adjourned.